All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Underground. This is Interactive Chat Volume 58. Let's go, baby. That's right. It is the sum of the first 7 prime numbers, as well as the same number as the Super Bowl that just passed. Sorry to bring it up if you're a 49ers fan. That's okay. Don't feel bad. I'm a Falcons fan. Nobody knows pain like I do. This is, of course, our weekly Solo Man podcast where we talk about everything: news, reviews, announcements, rumors, all the things, first impressions, trailers, everything PSVR2 related. What is up, guys? My name is AJ. Let's do this. And I, of course, like to interact with you guys during this show a little bit. Let you steer sometimes when I'm not too in the zone and focused on what I'm talking about. I try to pay attention to all the comments, but it's hard to keep up with all of them all the time. But what is up, guys? So good to see you. And man, we missed last week because we had I had Legendary Tales, which we're going to be talking about today. That game has basically been where I have lived for the past 2 weeks, and I am very happy about it. And definitely got an interesting discussion regarding that. I haven't done like a review or anything on it, so might do just like a little review summary, but then also we've got some pretty good news surrounding it, but we'll see how good it is in the near future. But guys, lots going on. Good to see all of you. What is up, Silver Nexus, my dude? Nihilus Ryan, my metal feline friends, is interactive chat. His ape. Let's go, man. Kill Artist, the Dream Weaver. Game Cat, good to see you, man. Says, hey AJ, I am just doing a like art and I saw your notification. Awesome. Well, let me serenade you while you make some cool art, and send me something I can hang up back here, something here, but you got to sign it though. That's the only thing. What up, Philip Rabchin, Looper, the Underground Game Cat, Photo Nutter, yo, good to see all you guys. So let's not waste any more time here, and let's go ahead and get into the things. Breaking news, you guys, breaking news. We gotta kick things off with some of the biggest rumors. Now these are just rumors, but I'm still gonna get really excited. We got to kick things off with new rumors of our favorite little hero, Astro Bot, man. Astro Bot has a new rumor. Now, of course, what I've been saying is I've expected that, if we get a new Astro Bot, which I believe we will, that this would be the year, and it would be later this year. A 2024 holiday season sounds like a great time, if not sooner, to release a sequel to one of the most beloved PlayStation VR and PlayStation IP characters there is to this day, and that is, of course, Astro Bot. Now, this comes via a rumor from Jeff Grubb, who hasn't always been right about everything, but, usually says something because he's been given some information. And, but we're going to get a little bit more information and take it over to Video Game Chronicle and take a look what they had to say regarding this rumor, because it's super exciting. But first, I just want to say, Niles Ryan, my metal feline friend, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you guys all, including these lovely people down here who support me on Patreon. Thank you for your support as always. It really does help a bunch, and I love you and I appreciate you. Niles Ryan says, AJ, my metal brethren. That's right. I've been listening to lots of Gojira, Cattle Decapitation, which I was surprised to learn that they're actually vegan. And they sing a lot about like vegan stuff. Interesting name. And there's a new metal band album coming out soon, Nihilus Ryan, called Job for a Cowboy, The Forever Rot. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you all go check out those awesome musics if you like the metals. But he says, AJ, my metal brethren, always look forward to Thursday for this. Thank you, man. I try to do this every Thursday. This is, of course, every single Thursday. Except for, some exceptions, but pretty much consistently every Thursday. What up, Piotrek? But guys, This is what we all want. This is something that is super, super important, especially to the PSVR community that played the original Astro Bot and fell in love with it like we all did. Just the first game was, just huge. But we'll get into that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and see what Video Games Chronicle had to say. They said Sony could release a new Astro Bot game this year, it's claimed. Team Asobi has said its next game will be its biggest to date. Now, this is the interesting part. Hopefully they specify a little bit more, but I missed this quote from Team Asobi saying that its next game will be its biggest to date. That's good news for us because most likely that next game is a very good chance of being an Astro Bot game. And if it's their biggest one to date, that's going to be awesome. But they say, the company revealed on Wednesday that it has no plans to release any new entries in, quote, major franchises like God of War or of Spider-Man during its next fiscal year, which starts in April and ends in March 2005. However, Sony may be planning to release unannounced games from other established, albeit less high-profile IPs, according to Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb. Quote, "We already know Rise of the Ronin is coming. We know that Concord, one of the live service games, is scheduled to come out this year. That's the stuff that's scheduled for sure," he said. And then it's like, there might be new game entries in franchises that already exist. They just might not be major in PlayStation's eyes when they're talking to investors. They said God of War, they said Spider-Man. These are franchises that sell 15 million copies lifetime or more. Grubb added, quote, "I've heard maybe Astro does happen this year. So if that happens, that's pretty big for me. I get why Sony's not thinking that's a major one for us, at least not yet. Hopefully they could turn it into a major one, and then a lot of this changes around." End quote. The last entry in the Astro series was 2020's Astro's Playroom, a 3D platformer in which comes preloaded on every PS5 console. While it's a highly regarded game in its own right, the follow-up to 2018's PlayStation VR game Astro Bot Rescue Mission also served as a free tech demo for the DualSense controller. So they did talk about, job listings and stuff, talking about a new 3D action game, different things like this. This is pretty big news, or this would be really big news. Now, they pointed out in the article that, Astro Bot may not be exciting to investors, and that's understandable. It's more of a beloved IP franchise character at this time, more so than it is a profit generating powerhouse such as and like staple of PlayStation branding, like a Mario or something along those lines. But I've always talked about that, mascots like these are super important for platforms, platform identity, and games like these are just awesome because, first of all, pretty much anybody can enjoy it. It is something that's a little bit more something for everybody. And the first Astro Bot was an absolute magical experience for all of us. The original game was my most anticipated game leading up to its launch in 2018, and it did not disappoint. I had a really, really great feeling about it from what they showed us. And at the time, we were still getting very much tech demos and stuff. And this was, while not a super long game, it was a really fun, 5 to 10 hours, depending on how much time you got out of it. Really just have a grin on your face from start to finish. And it was absolutely amazing. But like I said, I can understand Sony not considering this, or Sony's investors not considering this a big, huge system seller, because that's the thing. While this game is highly loved and, there's a rabid fan base behind it, I don't think Sony has really propped up Astro Bot they haven't evolved Astro Bot to be this like, hey, when you think of PlayStation, you think of Astro Bot. Now, this being Astro's Playroom being a pack-in title for PlayStation 5s certainly helped spread the word a lot. And ever since then, we have seen a rise in the sales of Astro Bot Rescue Mission on PSVR 1. So what it is though is that Sony does have an opportunity if they want to, increase profits, things like that. Astro Bot is right there, sitting right in front of you in your arsenal, and is ready to be taken advantage of. Not like that, but I mean it's such an awesome character. It's basically PlayStation's Mario, and Mario has been around for what, 40 years something now, and that's what they could do potentially with this. Instead of letting your IPs get away from you, stuff like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, things that were part of PlayStation's identity, and letting those get away. It shocks me that PlayStation hasn't been better about retaining IPs and building on them. Look at what Nintendo does. I mean, that's what they do. They still make Zelda games. They still make Mario games. They still make, all of their known IPs, and they build on them. They evolve them, which is an important part as well, because you don't want to just do the same thing over and over. But it's super, super important to have IPs that you can just continue to make, continue to build on. And that's something that within the past 5 years or so, Sony has kind of struggled with. They've done a great job of introducing new IPs, sequels, things like that. But they have aside from God of War and Spider-Man, like the article mentioned, they haven't done the best job of retaining that brand identity, that, they basically used to dominate with. I mean, that's how they got to where they are in the first place. So you'd think they'd want to stick with that. I think Astro Bot is an absolute awesome way to do this. And, Team Asobi are some of the most talented developers that Sony has when it comes to just fun, pure fun, joyful gameplay. And, that's what gaming is all about. It's about having fun. There's a wide variety of stuff, obviously, like delivering different kinds of experiences, immersion, all these things are important. But at the end of the day, people buy these to be entertained. And this is an IP that is very multifaceted in the way it can be utilized. I mean, it can be more than just a demonstrative tech demo that shows off the hardware. It serves both. It can show off the hardware, and it can be an amazing game. But them saying that Team Asobi said that this is their biggest game yet that they're working on has me really, really excited, because I do wholeheartedly believe that this will be a PSVR2 supported title. There's also been a couple rumblings about a possible remaster of the first game. I'm not sure about that one. I haven't really checked the sources on that. But I will take a fully fledged sequel. That's their biggest game yet. And, takes full advantage of the hardware. And, I'd even be down for it being a hybrid game. Sure, why not? One thing I do think as well is that I think, first of all, there will be another Astro Bot, I believe. And I could see it being this year. I would think maybe a holiday release, like December or so, maybe December. The only reason I guess it gets pushed further is because that, it needs more time to develop, things like that. But I also have a couple other theories about what they're going to do with the sequel. As much as I think it'll be similar to the first rescue mission, except now having, the orbs, the orb controllers. So they'll have different mechanics instead of just things limited to the DualShock 4. Now there's going to be more interactive things using two hands, maybe shooting a bow to clear a path for Astro, or I don't know, like there's, having hammers in your hands and stuff. But I think the one new thing that they could possibly bring to the table, and it's not necessarily new, but kind of, I mean, if you compare it to Astro's Playroom or Astro Bot Rescue Mission, I think they're going to try to incorporate multiplayer, because, we talked about this forever ago, but Asobi's original vision for Astro Bot was in fact to have multiplayer. The only problem was they couldn't figure out a way to make it work, to make it functional. And that was the only thing holding them back. Well, I think now, maybe some time has passed. Maybe they've come up with new solutions, new designs in where they could have multiplayer. So I think that's something to keep an eye out for, not only for an announcement or release of an Astro Bot sequel, but I do think multiplayer could be a big possibility for this game as well. If you look at their history and what they wanted to achieve with it, and like I said, man, we need this game so bad. If we either need a remaster or a remake of the first game with the new hardware, or we need a sequel. Sony's been seemingly pretty set on sequels at this point. With the new change in leadership coming, that could change, but at least what was, under the Jim Ryan era, which will be coming to a close soon, they have definitely had a focus on just like starting fresh each time, which I don't think was a very good idea. Again, build on your brand identity, build on your brand. And you don't do that by necessarily introducing new things constantly and investing lots of stuff. That's how you, I don't know, that's how you end up wasting a lot of time and money. And not that those aren't bad things. I mean, not that those are bad things, because of course it's a hard balance, right? You gotta balance retaining good IPs, retaining good brands, brand identity, but you also have to innovate and create new things as well. So I get that there's kind of like a balancing act there that's not easy, but I don't think under this previous leadership or soon to be previous leadership that they've really done a great job of balancing that. But we'll see. There's lots of games in development. Like the article said, they don't plan on releasing any major IPs like a God of War or Spider-Man in 2024. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be an interesting year with all the changes going on, with possibly no new huge like first party IPs coming from Sony. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. However, with this rumor, we now have the possibility that an Astro Bot sequel could be coming. And honestly, I think I'd be shocked if it wasn't PSVR2 supported, no matter what. Team Asobi has, they are really good at utilizing new tech and hardware, similar to like what Sony London studio was known for, was like whenever there was a new piece of hardware, they would do that. But honestly, comparing the two, Asobi is just on their own level of what they are able to achieve. So, guys, it is possible that it could be happening this year. I believe it would. It will be happening this year, but I could see it taking longer, of course. But believe, I'm never going to give up hope, man. I'm never going to give up hope of an Astro Bot sequel. This game is like such a big deal. It's one of the most important IPs that PlayStation has right now, and I hope they realize that. I think they do realize that the potential is there. Now they got to take advantage of it and build upon it. And turn Astro Bot into a turn Astro Bot into a profitable IP, and quit getting rid of IPs. Build on these things. Let them last generations, because you have the ability to do that. And it, like I said, it helps your brand. What is up, Your Long Shadows? Good to see you. It says we could still see first party this year. Well, we are going to see first party this year. That's the thing that doesn't really make a ton of sense. Maybe, I think they mean like in terms of like the release of Wolverine, or some of these like really, really huge IPs. I don't think this means the elimination of all first party IPs. I think this means stuff like, Wolverine, which obviously had some leaks and it seemed like it was coming out later anyways. Some other big things. They're going to really try to utilize third party and, some smaller first party stuff. And there's games like Concord that are supposed to be coming out this year. That's a first person sci-fi live service game. That's one of Sony's big live service games that they've invested in. And we're supposed to be seeing or getting that this year. We haven't seen much on it yet. So yeah, obviously it seems like they still will have first party, just not Wolverine or something of that caliber, something that like really, really sells like, tens of millions in a few weeks. Macho says Astrocart. Or PlayStation Kart. Let's go. Give me Astro Bot and Kratos as playable characters. Make it. Yeah, I mean, Sony's also not the greatest at, ripping off other games and IPs and stuff. We saw what happened with, what was that? PlayStation All-Stars? Oof. Yeah, that was brutal. That was rough. They really need to manage their IPs better, and retain them, because otherwise you'll end up with a thing. But I totally agree. I would love, I want Sony to completely, rip off Mario and with Astro Bot and give us an Astro Bot, Astro Party and Astro Kart, all these things, or just throw that all into the Astro Bot sequel. I'm cool with that as well. Cousin Ed, what up, yo? Says definitely needs to be hybrid. Sony needs to focus on hybrids. Yes, hybrids are definitely important. They're a great stopgap and a great solution for, being able to create AAA VR games or huge VR games, without completely investing in an original IP or something that is a lot more risky. We've said it a billion times. You look at the success and numbers of Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village and Gran Turismo 7, No Man's Sky, all these games have been, these are huge deals. And again, in the long run, in the end, where we want to end up being is that, huge games built from the ground up for VR are ultimately going to be better in most cases than just flat screen games converted to VR. However, it is a long time before we get there, until the market grows and gets bigger. I think in terms of like maximizing what you can do in a shorter amount of time and whatnot, and create the best product and everything, I think having the hybrid model is the most viable solution, until the VR market expands and gets larger enough to actually support, its own AAA games and things of that nature. Because right now we're not even close to that. We got a long, long way to go. But the good news is VR has definitely already hit the mainstream. I mean, now we've got PSVR2, we've got the Quest 3, we've got the Apple Vision Pro, which is being released. And I mean, like I said, VR is absolutely in the mainstream now. Now it just needs to have success in the mainstream, which it's not there. It is a small fish in a big pond, but it is moving in the right direction. You do got to believe. Mark Pringlesleaf says Astro Bot RPG. Sure, I will take it. Natty, what's up? Says hybrid is a term I'm honestly tired of hearing about. Yeah, I mean, I'm not tired of it yet until we get more of them. It's kind of like remakes and stuff. A lot of people wanted remakes. A lot of people are sick of remakes. In the end, to me, some of it is about games preservation, and some of it is about, like I was a big proponent of having Final Fantasy VII, my favorite game of all time, remade, and Crash Bandicoot remade, Spyro remade. All those things happened and they were phenomenal. They have been phenomenal. But I understand, wanting to have new IPs, new innovations, things of that nature as well. Super important as well. But I do think with the technology that we have today is much better than the technology we had 30, 40 years ago or whatever. And I do think some games that are, stuck on older hardware and whatnot need to be remastered, and then they're good. I regret nothing about asking and begging for a Final Fantasy VII remake or a Crash Bandicoot remake, because those games are incredibly special. And now even thanks to Spyro being remade, now with like Unreal Engine VR, you can play it on a PC in PSVR, and it's freaking phenomenal. Like, it is mind-blowing. I want to try out Crash Bandicoot in VR, because quite frankly, that's the only way you may be able to experience this. And unfortunately, but yeah, it's amazing how well those games actually work. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here a little bit. Astro Bot, baby. Let's make it happen. Let's do this. And yeah, let's get Astro to a profitable, like, you know, system seller quality thing. Make it a Mario or a Zelda tier. Something that is like associated with the brand, something that you have to have with your PlayStation. And thank God Team Asobi, you know, although they've been reduced and everything, thank God they still exist. And, you know, we have this opportunity to get something like this, because this would be amazing. And I've tweeted about this. I'm like, dude, cash in on Astro. Make a new Astro game. Make new Astro, you know, toys, action figures, plushies. And they've actually done some of these things. I mean, I've got the action figure right here. This shit was damn near, I think, $80. It was freaking expensive, but I still bought it. They made plushies too, which I actually didn't buy yet. I really wanted to, but I'm like, okay. Now you're selling more merch than actual game, and give me more game first and then sell more merch. And then, you know what? Make an Astro Bot movie. And then just keep it going. Just milk the shit out of Astro Bot if you know what's good for you. We all deserve this. Everybody deserves this. And that is my Astro Bot rant. All right, so we've got a lot to talk about today, guys. 5 first impressions. I've got first impressions of 5 new PSVR games. Most of them are out. Some of them are coming out. I've been playing a shit ton of Legendary Tales, though. Before we get into Legendary Tales, however, we got a quick update. On Madison VR, which was supposed to come out in 5 days. And Brian and I talked about this on Monday, saying, isn't it kind of weird that they're not talking about this, that they're not leading up to launch, you know, building the hype, the excitement? And so we said it's probably going to be delayed. And that was without any like insider info. That's just us going by, you know, reading the room. And yeah, so it turns out it has been delayed. I'll just go over quickly. This was from a press release from Perp Games. They gave us an update on Valentine's Day to rip our hearts out, I guess. They said Madison VR has a new digital release date of March 23rd, 2024. The boxed Cursed Edition will follow on April 12th. So the digital release has been postponed to March 23rd. The physical release will be the 12th of April. They also gave us some pricing. They have an updated new pricing announcement. The digital version will be $34.99, and the $34.99 euros and £29.99. The physical version will be $39.99 US dollars, $39.99 euros, and £34.99. So we got the pricing, we got a new release date. You know, these release dates with Perp have been kind of rough. But I'm really, really hoping, you know, I was getting a little burnt out on horror games, honestly. Like, I love horror games, I love shooters, but there's been so many that I'm like, okay, it's a little overrepresented at this point. We need some variety on this platform. Not everything, as much as I love horror games and shooters, I don't want everything to be a horror game or a shooter game. That being said, this is, alongside Phasmophobia, my most anticipated horror game, because it's a true horror survival game, from what it seems like. Seems like it's also supposed to be super scary. And as we all know, horror games are much more scary in VR. So I am hoping that this is really good, really polished by the time it gets out. I'll wait another year. I don't give a shit. Delay it till 2025. As long as it doesn't suck and be buggy and broken and have performance issues and all these things, and be super broken. I will wait, you know, I'd rather have a wait forever for a game to be, you know, nice and polished, and rather than it be launched with, you know, in a crappy state. And then it just, you know, the launch of a game is really the most important part of a game. Some games can, you know, turn things around. We've seen this, like No Man's Sky also got an update recently. We've seen some games, but that's the exception. That is not the rule. Most games live or die by their launch. And if, you know, really every developer's goal should be you hit your launch hard AF and you sell as many as you can, capitalize on that hype, on that launch release hype, and you know, cash in as much as possible during that time, because anytime after that is going to be much more difficult and to make your money. And to, you know, it's like catching a wave, bro. Anyways, all right. So Madison's been delayed. No huge surprise there, but you know, we'll see what happens. So now, before we get into the 5 games that have both released and are releasing soon, and just sharing some first impressions of those, I want to talk about a little game you may have heard of on this channel called Legendary Tales. Shocker, I know. First time I'm hearing about this too. It's crazy. So guys, a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Legendary Tales was announced at State of Play. And, you know, we were like, okay, this seems like it could be really cool. Then we read about it. And then we were like, okay, this is sounding really good. The developers are saying a lot of the right things here. Well, you know, sometimes it's just marketing speak. Sometimes, you know, we kind of get our hopes a little too high. Well, that has not been the case here, you guys, because holy freaking hell, Legendary Tales is not only good, it is excellent. And it is my favorite game on PlayStation VR2 right now. As somebody who, you know, loved Diablo, as somebody who loved Bloodborne is my favorite, is like one of my favorite games of all time, next to Final Fantasy VII. I typically love RPGs in general, and this game has been absolutely fantastic. A quick review summary would be, you know, great graphical fidelity in terms of 90 frames per second, high resolution that uses eye-track foveated rendering, big open areas to explore, lots of quests, lots of VRAF mechanics. But the one thing that I think I absolutely love about this game and think that is what makes it truly special, the combat, man. The combat in this game is so incredibly deep. And it's physics based and it feels good. So not only does the combat feel amazing, but it's really, really deep with different skill sets you can customize and do. And then on top of that, there's a shit ton of loot in this game as well. And, you know, one thing we were kind of talking leading up to launch was like, you know, we talked about the developers sharing their story. It's kind of a special story here. I mean, it's a very unique thing. We're a small team of 5 developers based out of Korea, South Korea, basically invested everything they had, every single thing they had into making, you know, their dream game, which coincidentally enough is also many of our dream games. But this is a genre that we needed. You know, I talked about how many horror games there are, how many shooters there are, how many puzzle games there are. If there's one genre that I think is really, really, really lacking on VR in general, has been RPGs, full-blown RPGs. And man, you know, if you are a fan of like Diablo or a Souls game, any of the Souls game, then you have to pick this up. And I have some good news. It seems like most of you have been paying attention, because if we go to the PlayStation Store and we take a look here, this is the PlayStation Store digital storefront, listed by best selling. And as you can see, the top selling is Gran Turismo 7, Resident Evil 4 is number 2. But then, of course, look, landing in above Beat Saber, which, by the way, was the number 1 selling digital game of last month, above No Man's Sky, above Resident Evil Village, Arizona Sunshine 2, all these other games that are awesome games, of course. But look, guys, look at this. This is a really, really encouraging sign. At this time, if you're going by the way the PlayStation Store sorts everything, this means that Legendary Tales is currently the #1 selling game on the PlayStation Storefront for PSVR2. And that is awesome. That is awesome. And it gets even better. It gets even better. You know why? Because not only is it in this position on the US store, but it's like this on the EU store, on the Norwegian store, on the Swedish store, all these things. I've been having a bunch of other cats, you know, shout out to y'all who informed me. But this game is doing really well. But is it doing well enough? So here's the thing. The developers have said they have basically invested every last ounce of money, resources, everything they had into making the biggest, baddest RPG that they possibly could. And they absolutely achieved this. I think, you know, Tony Savino, no, you're not blocked here. I can see your comment. I don't know where else you're referring to, but nope, I see you. But guys, this is a really, really good thing here. Now, this is the thing, is that the developers also stated that, you know, they speculate that PlayStation VR2 has sold around 1.3 million. And I do think that if the adoption rate is high enough, I do think that is enough for a game like this, a small studio of 5 developers to, you know, make enough sales to be successful enough to warrant a sequel, because that's what they want to do here. They want to make a sequel to Legendary Tales. They want to make Legendary Tales 2. And, oh, Your Long Shadow says Legendary Tales is 4th on the store now. Well, well, it was 1st. But, or I don't know if you said 1st or near the top. It's still near the top. But, you know, that's the thing that a lot of the VR industry has had kind of an awakening, and not just the VR industry. It's, you know, gaming has become a very populated and competitive market. It is very, very tough for developers. We've seen all the layoffs, all the studios shutting down, all these things. Really, a lot of developers have been motivated by, you know, really positive critical reception, things like that. Because in most cases, developers making VR games are not making much profit, if any. Most of them are not making profit, and most likely. But, you know, we have to start somewhere, and it has to start somewhere. And games like this, to me, are super important, and are an example of, like, you know, what we want. This game is a great example of everything I want from or most of the things I want from, you know, a VR game, a built from the ground up. It's not often we get a built from the ground up VR game that you can spend 100 hours or more with. And so far, I have over 40 hours with this game, and I cannot stop playing it. I literally have to pry myself off of this just to play other things, because of course there's other people that may not be interested in RPGs or things like that. So that's why I've got 5 other games I'm going to be talking about today. But guys, I challenge you, let's capitalize on this momentum. Let's capitalize on this awesome launch of this awesome game that the developers sacrificed everything for us, for you and me. If you like RPGs, if you know, want more RPGs, if you want a Legendary Tales 2 type game, which is basically Diablo with Bloodborne pacing, and tons of loot and tons of things. It also has 4-player multiplayer, by the way, so it can establish a player base. Guys, if you have the money, I'm not saying if you don't have the money, but if you do have the money and you are interested in this game, I cannot recommend this game enough. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. For me personally, I would put it higher. I would probably put like 9.5, maybe even 10 out of 10. Although, even, you know, even knowing that it's not perfect in every single way. You know, some of the drawbacks are that, you know, some of the enemies look the same, although they're not really the same, because they have different weapons and different attacks and play styles and stuff, but they look the same. It's a lot of skeletons, a lot of goblins, it's a lot of ghouls, it's a lot of bats, and you know, that's the majority of it. But there are, you know, like I said, it's deeper than what it seems on the surface. But I challenge everybody, man, everybody out there, maybe if you you know, are just watching this and you're not a PSVR2 owner, or you're soon to be owner, go out and buy this game, support these developers. I want to give it our best shot. I really want the community to come together and support this game. You know, I'm not saying it's guaranteed that we'll succeed here in making this game a success enough to where we'll get a sequel or, you know, more DLC for it or something. You know, the chances of that are, we've already been told the chances of that are pretty slim. But if we, you know, if we can show out and kind of prove the numbers wrong, say that, you know, well, we are a smaller, more niche audience, but we're also a more dedicated, passionate, and supportive audience that with a higher adoption rate. This is a big chance, man. This is a big pivotal point for something like this. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to wait really long time, a really long time once again for something like this to come out. But guys, amazing game. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, and that's being super hardcore objective. I would personally give it a 10 out of 10 in terms of it's my favorite game on the platform right now. The physics-based combat is awesome. I think the only thing that could maybe bring this game down a little bit is something even better coming along in the future. Otherwise, it is absolutely by far the best that we have. And I'm not just giving it a bunch of credit because it's the best we have here. It is also very damn good too. So I'm not just blowing smoke because it's what we have. It's a freaking awesome game. In fact, so good that whenever I compare this game to anything else, this is a rare game that I actually have to compare it to flat screen games. I have to play it for, I mean, I have to compare this game to games like Bloodborne, which obviously, you know, those games are superior, but that's how much I love this game, is like I have to compare it to Skyrim or Bloodborne or Diablo, things like that. This is one of the finest VR games I've ever played. It's my favorite game at this time, and I absolutely love it and adore it and can't stop playing it. 40 hours and counting. I'm playing two different characters simultaneously. But yeah, man, super duper in love with this game, and there's so much more to play. So don't be surprised if you see lots more legendary tales on this channel. I'm going to be, you know, singing its praises, showing off gameplay, streaming my full playthroughs, maybe doing a tips video in the future if I get around to it. All these things. I just want to keep talking about this game, keep playing it, keep enjoying it. And, you know, but I understand there's a high price tag for sure. MRI Gamer says $55 for a 40+ hour game is worth it to me. Yeah, I've played, you know, I paid what, $60 for Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I played that for what, 8 hours, and you know, and it was cool, and I mean, it like looked good, but yeah, this game outdoes a lot of AAA games. Maybe not visually, like I said, it has good graphical fidelity, but in graphical design and graphical environments, density, things like that, you know, it's definitely more on the simplistic side. Enemy skins and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not very deep there, but it is deep in the gameplay department and the skill and the skills, the loot, the abilities, all those sorts of things. But let's see here. All right, so before we get into previewing the 5 games here, Awesome Tatum says, how's the haptics? I've been playing it mostly on PC. The haptics are solid. The sword fighting, the parrying stuff is really good. The shield blocking, all that is really good. The magic abilities have adaptive triggers, which is really nice. But yeah, there's some really cool surprises stuff too that I'm really trying hard not to spoil. But man, that gameplay, this gameplay loop is deep, and the loot is deep. Brooklyn Menace is, so far it has been well worth the price. J Foviated Rendered Game Cat says well worth the price. Cousin Ed says RE games are around 15 hours and I'll happily pay full price for those. Yeah, I would too. I totally am down with that as well. Again, I like to support all, I'm willing to pay for, it's kind of like you get what you pay for. And this is a game that's more expensive, but you get what you pay for. You get a deeper gameplay experience. The way this game just feels to play is so much fun. And like I said, it's got this Bloodborne pacing to it, where you just kind of, lurking around the different areas and just wiping enemies out and completing quests and getting loot. And it just has this fantastic game loop. There's boss fights, so many legendary weapons that is like really important to loot filled dungeon crawlers for me. But yeah, I'm willing to pay $55 for this. If I had the choice, I probably wouldn't pay for some of these shorter, I wouldn't like to, I feel more strongly about paying $55 for this than I do a lot of other games, like Arizona Sunshine 2. I had a lot of fun with it. But that's not a game I would recommend at $55 or $50, whatever. It actually was $50 for the normal 60, because that was basically, while that was a very polished experience, it was like 4 hours and I was done with it. And the game length is not always everything, but if you're going to be spending that much, it better be like the best thing you've ever played if it's going to be that short. And as much as I loved Arizona Sunshine 2, it's not even close to the greatest thing I've ever played ever. Roy Schwartz says, yo, Mr. Cannon, what up, Mr. Roy Schwartz? Good to see you, my friend. Says, how does the whole playing a course you don't own on Walkabout work? You have to buy the DLC. I think you can, oh no, you may have to have some, yeah, you may have to own it, but the DLC is cheap there. Let's see here. Yeah, Arizona Sunshine 2, I'd probably pay $30 for. I'm trying to get Julia to get into this game so that I can buy it. Obviously, I do receive review keys and stuff. That doesn't mean that a game is automatically gonna get a good rating, or that it's easy to say, oh, I support this game when you didn't. I'm trying to get her to want to play it so that I can buy it for her, because I'm looking for excuses. I've mentioned this before. Even though I receive review keys, I buy games on her account to support them. And you know what? Screw it. Even if she doesn't pay it, I will absolutely put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to join you. And I will pay $55. I'm going to buy this game on her account tonight. Unless I could buy it for one of you guys. I wish you could gift games. I want to buy this game for somebody. I just want to support this game. And that's how I can do it. I can either buy it for Julia, or I can buy it for one of y'all somehow. Maybe I'll do a PSN card giveaway on the Patreon. How about that? But you better fucking buy this game if I do that. You better not go buy something else. But let's see here. DJ Dirty Yellow says, buy for me. Hey, sure. I got to figure out a way to get this to somebody, because I want to support this game too. I very much mean what I say here. All right, guys. So, that's all I got to say about Legendary Tales. I obviously it's selling really well, but it needs to sell enough. I pray to God that we get a sequel for this game, that the developers have enough success. This is my favorite game right now, and it's amazing. And I cannot recommend it enough if you're into dark fantasy RPGs with lots of loot and deep, deep, deep gameplay mechanics and great physics. Super cool. All right, so now it is time to talk about and preview the games that have come out both in the past 2 weeks while I've been stuck and living in Legendary Tales, as well as the games, another game that's going to be coming out soon. But first, Silver Nexus, my dude, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate your support, man. Really do. Says, I support you supporting great games. Thanks for making Thursday bad less. PSVR Underground rocks. You rock, man. I appreciate you, dude. I really want to do a giveaway for Legendary Tales. Maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe leave a comment after the video and just say, like, you know, you'd want to get it. But here's the thing. I swear to God, if I do a Legendary Tales giveaway for PSN cards, and you guys, and I do this for you, and you buy something else, I will find you and hunt you down. But I'd be happy to buy it for somebody. But I swear to God, if you do not use it on Legendary Tales, like, you need to show me proof, or else I will find you. Or I'll sick Liam Neeson on you. I will go full Baba Yaga on you. So yeah, leave a comment after the video. I'd love to buy somebody a copy of Legendary Tales. Let's do this. All right. Support awesome games. I have a certain set of skills. Well, murdering people is not one of those skills. I'd be terrible at that. I'd be a horrible murderer. I probably wouldn't even murder my first victim. I'd probably get killed. Oh, anyways, what am I even talking about? Anyways, guys, it is time to talk about the brand new games that came out. And we have a bunch here. So these are the new games that have both come out recently, as well as one of them is coming out that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Operation Serpens, which comes out next week. Border Bots, which, yes, I played. Survivorman VR. Dead Hook. And Space Docker VR. I have spent, now disclaimer, these are first impressions. I played these enough to where I can get a first impression and share with you what they're like, let you know if I think they're going to be worth getting, if they're going to be cool or not. Spoiler alert, there's going to be both here. So we are going to kick things off here with, and then after we go through these games, share my first impressions with these. We're going to go through the PSN sale because there is another PlayStation sale, and there's a lot of really good deals on there and some things. All right. Let's see here. But before we get started, once again, got a donation from DJ Dirty Yella. It says, do you think Kojima's new game will come to PSVR2 and PS5, not a PS6 exclusive? I don't think so. I mean, maybe they have some support for it, but it doesn't seem like it. I would love for one of these Silent Hill games, or especially this Metal Gear Solid remake. I know that's not technically Kojima making that, but I want this Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. That's probably my most wanted, besides like Cyberpunk 2077, to come to PSVR 2. But as far as Kojima's game, it'd be really cool, but I don't know. He seemed like he kind of got away from VR after kind of teasing a little bit of it. Snatcher, Jeppy, what up, homie? Local homegrown game cat out here. Scott, the PSVR game cat, says murder is easy, AJ. It's getting away with it that's difficult. Right, okay. Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about these new games. I'm going to share some first impressions here. We're going to kick things off with Operation Serpens. And I know I usually play my own gameplay here, guys, but I wasn't able to record gameplay while playing this because Julia has confiscated my PC so that she can play Spyro in VR. So it's for a good cause, at least. At least she has a good excuse. But I've got the trailers here, which should show off a lot of gameplay. Operation Serpens is an indie arcade shooter coming in the early February 20s. I think February 21st or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't know the date. And it is an arcade first-person shooter. And so far, Scott Dracula, blah, 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 says, Serpens looks interesting to me. I like arcade stuff. Yeah, so first impressions of this game, it is definitely indie. It is, honestly, it's indie in a way that it's like, very indie. And that's, different people feel different about that, but this to me, this game overall so far has felt kind of like a last gen game. You know, I think the developer has done a good job making a, you know, passion project, making something that they wanted to make. And I think they should be proud of this game. As a consumer, I have problems with this game. Mostly, and nothing has to do with its performance. It's a very sharp game. It's very sharp and clear. It has a nice resolution. Fundamentally, it functions properly. But I think the problem I have as a consumer is that the gameplay itself and the level designs themselves are just not very fun and engaging. It's very much, you sit there, it's kind of like a wave shooter at first for the first couple levels. And it's like a wave shooter where you can move around in a limited space. And the problem I have with this is that it kind of tries to be a bullet hell here, where, you know, you can dodge bullets and stuff, which is fine, which is pretty cool. It does, of course, have, like, you know, haptics and whatnot. The problem I have here is that in design, like design wise, instead of having, like, you know, a limited amount of enemies on screen that, you know, have like certain patterns, certain things you have to dodge, you know, one or two enemies that pop out and you got to be quick or something. You know, we've had several other really good arcade shooters. We've had stuff like Crisis Brigade, Blood and Truth. I mean, that's not fair to compare this to Blood and Truth, but we've had these things. And so, like, really, when it comes to, like, you know, most PSVR2 games, I'm looking for a next gen experience. This game feels, in design, it feels very, very dated, very simplistic, and it's just doesn't feel fun to me, because it just feels a little worn out. Like it's kind of a it's like I've seen it, done it before. It just feels very archaic in design. And rather than having, like, you know, some cool set pieces and everything, it kind of just, the pacing of it as well is a backbreaker to me, because this game, it kind of just, the levels feel really stretched out, like they go on for a long time. By the end of each level, I was super bored and just wanted to stop playing. And they kind of just throw like 100, like there's literally like 20 enemies on the screen at once, and it's kind of just chaotic. You're just shooting everywhere. It doesn't feel like well structured in certain ways. It just feels like, yes, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it's lacking like creativity. Like this picture right here in the elevator, like this was one of the levels I played where you're literally just in the elevator and you're just, you know, you're just shooting like 20 enemies in front of you, and you're trying to dodge their bullets and stuff, and it just, I don't know, it just feels kind of plopped together. And there are some sequences that are more like cinematic looking kind of sequences where, like, you know, you're on trucks or whatever, and it tries to make it a little bit it tries to make it, like, you know, exciting or whatnot, but I don't know, guys. I think the developers should feel pretty proud of what they've made here. You know, I think they accomplished what they were able to achieve. It does feel very dated though, but again, as a consumer, which is what we are, is we're consumers and we're stuff. I don't think there's anything really super fun and exciting here to write home about. And so I'm gonna have to say Operation Serpens, from my first impressions, hard pass. I was not wanting to play this, and like I said, I was kind of bored by the end of each level. And while it technically does some okay things, it's just not very fun and exciting, and that's a problem. Next we have, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Next we've got Border Bots VR, which is by Team 17, the makers of Worms and Worms Armageddon, games I absolutely adore. But this is much different. This is, of course, a game that I think I railed this game pretty bad when it was first announced, because I'm like what, like job sim meets border patrol. Like, I'm just so tired of this stuff. Well, I gotta say, guys, from my first impressions, this is a little bit better than I was expecting. Team 17 are an experienced and pretty big game studio, and this game is kind of like gimmicky, but it's actually making a semi-decent game out of a gimmick, which is pretty cool to me. You know, I care about gameplay loops, and I actually have been enjoying this so far, and I would like to play more of it, so I probably will. The things that I think, so starting out, I'm like, okay, you know, it looks okay. It looks kind of like a quest game a little bit, but that's okay. I can live with that. It actually looks decent. But like, first you're thrown into like the world itself is kind of cool. It's like this futuristic, almost cyberpunk looking world. You're kind of like off your balcony or whatever, and there's flying cars, like think like Fifth Element or something, like with the flying taxis and everything. This game has actually kind of surprised me so far, because it's done some really cool things. At first, I was like, ugh, like no, like the walking speed was awful, so awful. If you think Legendary Tales is slow, good God, the walking speed in this is god awful. However, this is where I was like, okay, let's do this game. Because there's, luckily, after you get past the first horrible tutorial that's like so slow paced and boring, you immediately get to be able to get all your settings how you want them, and you can turn up the walking speed, you can turn off blinders, you can turn on smooth turning, and all these things. And I was like, oh, thank God, that feels so much better. But essentially what you're doing in this game is basically there's not a lot of humans left, and you have the opportunity of a lifetime to have a job, and you're like this special human because you were picked to try out this job. And I forget what like the goal is. Like you get some, like, I don't know if it's like fame or something for you know, just being selected for this job. But this job is, of course, being a robotic border patrol agent, where you basically have to have these robots come down in a line one after the other. You buzz this little bell and they come down, and you have to basically inspect them and look for anything that's like out of the normal, out of whack, things like you know, they give you like their pass or whatever, their little tablet thing, and you have to basically find any discrepancies in their little, it's just a couple things, it's not like a bunch of stuff, but you have to find like any discrepancies in like their models, in their logos. And then on top of that, there's like certain like daily rules, like certain models will be banned and you have to decline those for the day. There's like certain models, certain manufacturers that you have to reject for that day. But this game actually, like I said, has surprised me. It's a lot better than what I thought. And I think what I like about it most is like, I'm kind of digging the humor. I'm kind of vibing with the humor here. It's been somewhat enjoyable, and the gameplay loop seems pretty cool so far. It's a little bit more fun than I thought it would be. And I like the narrative that's going on, and I like the way they present the humans. You know, the humans are like basically almost extinct. Everything is basically mostly robots. And the humans are all presented in these like holograms or whatever, and their faces move and they talk to you and stuff, and it's like well animated and stuff. And yeah, I've been pretty surprised by this one so far. It is much more, for as much shit as I gave this game when it was first announced, I've been enjoying it a lot more than expected. And it is one that I could see myself going back into. What I'm hoping is that like the narrative continues, and that it's actually a pretty, you know, good story that it tells, because I feel like the storytelling is actually really well done so far. So I'd like to see that actually go somewhere and be something pretty cool. because so far it's pretty good. The game loop is pretty good. The humor is pretty good. And then this world, like you see this picture a little bit here, the world itself is really awesome. The whole cyberpunk city, futuristic cyberpunk kind of dystopian city or whatever it is actually really, really cool. The view from your balcony, you get like your own apartment and stuff that you can kind of build on, and you get some unlocks, some upgrades, things like that. And I'm liking what I'm playing so far. So first impressions, I gotta actually give a thumbs up to Border Bots. Pretty solid so far. I'm digging it. I'm digging the vibe, and when I didn't think I would. And this is not usually my type of game, so the fact that I'm enjoying this is a good sign. Pretty good stuff so far. The only thing performance-wise I would say is that like when the characters and stuff, they're animated, they're talking, they kind of like, it almost like loads like a new sentence. Like every time they say a new sentence, it's almost like the face like reloads. And every time this happens, the frame rate can kind of hitch a little bit. So it's only happening to you when you're talking to these like, holograms or whatever. But I did notice a little bit of frame rate hitching, tiniest bit, every time they would like start a new sentence and it would like load their next sentence or whatever. But yeah, this is a little bit better than I expected. So pretty good stuff here. Next we've got, this is going to be a really, really bumpy ride, so strap in. Next we've got Survivorman VR. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, so this is a TV show that I'm not familiar with called Survivorman. I don't watch it on TV. Has been showing you how to survive.
What if it happened to you? What if you found yourself in a real survival situation? Lost and alone. You think you could survive?
Whoops. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know immediately. I did not know the audio was on there. Damn it. I thought I checked on that. Thank you for letting me know. But, okay. So anyways, Survivorman is based on a TV show by this guy. He apparently, I forget his name. So sorry about the noise there, guys. I apologize. But he basically, I guess, like did a show about like a bunch of, surviving. I'm so sorry, you guys. Everyone, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Les Matthew Longo, yes. Les something. What's his last name? I knew the Les part. But this game kind of throws you immediately into survival situations. I really only played the first section of this, which is basically you start out and there's a helicopter. You crash in a helicopter in the snowy mountains. And basically what it's showing right here. And like, they start teaching you like basic survival instincts of like, oh, you have to build a fire. Basically, that's all I did was build a fire was the first thing I did. And I think on paper, like the concept of this is pretty cool. But the quality of this port is rough. Visually, this game is very jittery. It is very like frame rate. It seems like it's all over the place. It's like stuttery frames all over the place, and it's janky feeling. And it's just the quality of this is not very good. Not only does it like look and feel like a low quality kind of game, but it's just like performance wise, it has some really bad technical issues as well, some visual jank. And I think on paper, like it's kind of cool, but I think the way it was executed is really bad. And it comes off very much as, Les Stroud is his name. It comes off very much as like just one of those bad licensed, IPs or whatever that they turn into a game for some random reason, and they get some, random cheap quality studio to, or not, maybe not a cheap studio, but they get some studio to make a cheap quality port. It kind of reminds me of like the launch of Peaky Blinders, and I know some people like Peaky Blinders and whatnot, but the game at launch was rough and was not good quality at all. It has received some patches. This game is also supposed to be only like 2 hours long as well. So for Survivorman, like I don't really, I like stuff like this. This is like the opposite of Border Bots, right? Where I should love this. Like, I like stuff like this. I like the idea of a survival experience, even if it's only 2 hours. But this is going to be a pass or wait for a very, very, very deep sale. Wait for this to go dirt cheap and then pick it up. And then you'll be like, oh, this is ugly, but it's kind of cool. And that's kind of how I feel about my first impressions of Survivorman. Admittedly, this one I've probably played the least out of all of these. I did not get to spend a whole lot of time with it, but so far I was just like, meh, like not a very good quality port and not a very, overall a really cool experience. But I could see maybe some people that are like, just in one of those moods where, they don't care if the game is a little bit less quality and stuff. They just want to experience this thing. Like some people might enjoy that, but my advice, wait for a really, really deep sale on this one, because it's a rough port and, I don't know. There's 2 other really amazing survival games, on PSVR2. Well, I wouldn't say 2, what's the Song in the Smoke is an amazing survival game. Green Hell VR is a lot better than what it was before. And I definitely, I definitely enjoyed Green Hell VR, even with its issues at launch. And that's been getting patched after patch. And now it actually looks really nice. So I would much say, try one of those out instead. But I do hope this gets some updates because I like the concept of it, and I will probably play a little bit more of this, but it's going on the back burner. It's not a priority. Definitely hard pass. Wait for a deep, deep, deep sale. Next, that brings us to Dead Hook. Now, this is a game that I did receive a review key for, and I received this actually several weeks ago. The problem is that Legendary Tales happened. But I've probably spent the most time of all these first impressions. I've spent the most time with Dead Hook. I've been very excited about this game. I've heard really good things about it. It's supposed to be very inspired by Doom. It's made by Joyway, which I really, really love Stride. And, I kind of knew going in what kind of to expect with this, which is basically a Doom clone, with where you get to swing with grappling hooks, get to swing around with grappling hooks. And I think the one surprise thing that surprised me the most about this is that I was not expecting this to be a roguelike. And disclaimer, I am not a fan of roguelikes. Like in most cases, there are some that I am a fan of, but most of them I am not. And sadly, that is something that I think has hurt me the most with this game for me. Honestly, I've been a little underwhelmed and a little disappointed in this one. I was pretty excited about it, and I do think it does do some good things, like swinging around and shooting kind of is fun. Like that's really honestly, that's kind of the only thing I've liked about it so far, besides maybe some of the enemy designs. But this game, unfortunately, has been pretty disappointing overall. And it's been kind of mid-tier. If not, I think actually even slightly below average. But this game just ends up being run into a room, shoot some enemies, and repeat. Run into a room, shoot some enemies, repeat. Run into a room, shoot some enemies, repeat. And it's just, I love the Doom games. I am a huge, huge fan of Doom. And this is just not Doomy enough. In terms of visuals, I think the visuals are a huge turnoff for me. The environments, the levels and everything are very just bland. Like the levels. Where's Gordon Ramsay? It's bland. It's bland. Q Gordon Ramsay saying it's super bland and unseasoned. And it does what it's supposed to do, I guess, kind of, but it's so boring to look at, and the physics are not very good, and the guns I'm not really interested in. And man, I haven't, it hasn't grabbed me at all. And yeah, I've been a little disappointed in this one because I really, really was hoping that it was like, would give me that Doom fix. And sadly, that's just not the case. It's not delivering to me that Doom-like experience. Now, I do think it's okay. It's not terrible. It's just very bland and basic and boring. And it's just not something you want to do. It does try to introduce some things like I said, you know, swinging around on the chains and shooting stuff is kind of fun. I do think the control scheme is a little weird. The controls are kind of weird. So it's kind of got a funky button layout. It doesn't feel very intuitive at all, controls wise. And you know, some of the stuff, like I said, it is not physics. It does not have good physics. So like, you know, you can melee and do certain things, and like it slows down, and it's supposed to look all flashy, but it doesn't look impressive at all. The biggest things I've liked about it so far have basically been kind of swinging around and shooting. And then I like some of the enemy designs. I like that there's boss battles in this. That actually is pretty good. But other than that, really boring environments, really unengaging game loop. And, you know, from all the things I've played, this is not one of Joyway's better games. And for trying to be such a Doom clone, I really wish it was more of a clone of Doom. But they went the roguelike route, and this is to me an example of like where being a roguelike game can completely backfire. Because when you don't have the depth of the gameplay, when you don't have a fun game loop or the content, things like that, it all falls apart, and it rapidly becomes a quickly repetitive, boring game. And that's kind of what's happened here. So, there you go. DJ Dirty Yella says, not as good as Doom VFR, huh? Honestly, it's like they took all the bad parts of Doom VFR and then made a game out of it. It's all the weaknesses of Doom VFR. Everything that we were like, you know, because Doom VFR, it looked like a AAA game. It had a lot of Doom 2016 assets in it. And it was, you know, it had some redeeming qualities. If not, it was a good, solid, okay game at the most. This is like kind of some of the frustrations and stuff of Doom VFR. This is like made from that. And like I said, it's not terrible. I'm probably being a little too harsh on it because I do think some people would enjoy this. But for me, for my expectations, maybe they were too high. This ended up being really disappointing, and I'm just not interested. Like, I think maybe there'll be a time that I'll be maybe feeling a little bit more, be more interested, but now is not that time because I don't have much interest to keep playing it, and it being a roguelike kind of like solidifies that because I know where it's going to go. It's just going to continue to get repetitive, and it's going to, you know, it's just going to, I don't know. Dan Kiefer, I also prefer Doom 3 over Doom VFR, although I wish Doom 3 had Doom VFR's quality. But yeah, this is not really that good. I'm going to say hard pass on Dead Hook. It'll be good once it goes on deep sale. I think it'll be worth picking up. Oh, also, to sprint in this game, you have, at least so far for what I've played, to sprint in this game, you have to do this. You have to do the stride arm movement. So I don't know why they did that. It kind of, you know, it kind of helps make the game more physical. If you're looking for a fitness game, maybe it could make fitness a little bit more fun. But in terms of like, you know, having to sprint in this game, having to do this is really tiring. And like I said, doing that and it's repetitive and all this stuff. Ugh, I just, not feeling this one, not vibing with it. But that brings us to the last preview, the final and fifth preview, first impressions for tonight. By the way, I see lots of people mentioning fishing and catch and release 2. I would love that. Would love catch and release 2. I thought about messaging Jason Garber, but after COVID, he like disappeared into the woods and decided to live into the wilderness for some reason. So don't know if we'll ever see him again. But I would die for a catch and release 2, or a good solid fishing game. Let's see here. So what up, Dan Kiefer? It's nice to be in sync with you too. Rob, good to see you, man. Game Cat Photo Noter, JB in the house tonight. Shout out to the Persistence, a good roguelike. A Persistence, I don't even think I was really familiar with roguelikes until the Persistence. And I was like, oh, that's what that is? Like, this is really well done. That game was awesome. Amazing. All right, and the last game, of course, we got here is Space Docker VR. Now, I'll admit, when I first saw this pop up on the PS Store, you know, it's hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell. We get so many games that are like these rip-off shovelware, you know, titles and whatnot. And so, like, you know, when I see Space Docker, I'm like, oh God, this is going to be some broken cash grab, cheap piece of crap, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was actually going to buy this game earlier today. And then coincidentally enough, I look in my DMs and shout out to Izzard. Izzard the Game Cat was like, hey dude, I've been playing Space Docker VR and I've been talking with the developer and I got you a review key. I was like, what? I don't think I've ever had a fan of the channel or something like that get a review key for me. So shout out to you, Izzard. You rock, man. Thank you for that. I was about to purchase it. So you did just cost the developer money, unfortunately, but but maybe not, because I am happy to report that this game is not a cheap, shameless cash grab. Might I say, this game is actually pretty cool so far, and I was not expecting it to be. Yes, this has been, in fact, a nice little surprise. It is essentially how do I describe this? It is kind of like a forklift simulator in a way, but in space. And I mean that in the best of ways. This game has actually been, it's been out for a long time on, like, I think PC VR, maybe even Quest, but it recently got updated to like a new version. And so, yeah, graphically, it is super crisp. It actually says in the trailer that it's a native 120 frames per second. So it is 120 FPS, which is super important. But this game basically is, it's kind of got a learning curve at first. It's a little tricky to learn. So it was hard to kind of like, you know, learn the basics. But you kind of like quickly pick it up, or like next time you come back to it or whatever, it feels a lot more easy, a lot more natural to steer. But this game has surprised me so far, because I did not think I would be interested in space forklifting. But it's kind of cool. You have to, basically, you're in a little space shuttle, and this is only just a part of the game, but it's a big part of the game, is that the first thing it teaches you during the tutorial is it gets you used to the controls, how to control the ship. And let me just say, this game is wild. They do not pull any punches here with the gameplay. If you are prone to motion sickness, this game will fucking murder you. It is not for the faint of heart. And that is exactly my type of game. It doesn't feel like limited. It doesn't feel like it is worried about making you sick or being too difficult for you or anything. It's like, no, this is what it is. Shit's going to get crazy. Try not to die. Good luck. And you can actually go really, really fast in this joystick. You've got one joystick here. for like, thrusters, moving forward, moving backwards. Also use the joysticks to go up, down, and strafe left and right. Then it's got the right joystick that you can use. It's got an in-game HOTAS that you use. It would be cool. A lot of people talk about like HOTAS support all the time. This would be a good game to support the HOTAS. But this shit gets a little wild, like quickly, and there is a learning curve at first, but it eases you into things, so you will get there. But essentially, throughout the tutorial, you basically have to learn how to size up to these big containers, and you have this little docking mechanism on the top, and you have to line it up, and you have to latch onto it, and then you get it, and then you go fly around to this thing where you pull this lever and it shoots the thing, and it shoots the container, a very large container, by the way, and you shoot this thing like into this facility or whatever where you're supposed to drop the drop-off point, basically. And just doing that took me a good 30 minutes. It took me like maybe 45 minutes just to like get the basics down with this. But it has been a very nice surprise, and it doesn't just stop there. Like I said, this game gets pretty wild. This ship that they give you, it is not a very limited, slow experience. You can spin out like crazy if you while you're first figuring things out. You're going to be tumbling around in this little spaceship, doing flips and trying to figure out the controls, similar to like the first time you tried No Man's Sky. Maybe not that deep and hard to figure out. It's not going to take you that long to figure out, but it is a little tricky at first. And so what I really, really like about this so far is this is definitely like a little bit bigger of a game than I was expecting, a little bit more polished than I was expecting. I think the spaceship that you're in, the little space forklift, is actually really fun to drive and fly around in. And like I said, they don't hold back. If you have weak VR legs, this game is gonna destroy you. So make sure you have your VR legs before you try this one out. There are a lot of comfort settings as well, which is nice. But I like how they do the tutorial. They have you in your little spaceship. They actually have a video, graphically, like wasn't super impressive at first, but they do have a nice little video of a guy that's like, it's like a real video of an actual person. You'll see a clip of him here, and he's kind of explaining to you like what you're going to be doing and how things going to work. And it's got a nice little, it's not like high production values or anything, but it's a nice little introductory that explains to you what's going on. And so, yeah, like you figure out how to use all these mechanisms and all the doohickeys in the spaceship to learn how to basically obtain cargo and then drop it off. And that is way more complicated than I made it sound right there. But it's fun. It's actually really, really fun. It is I don't know whether to call it a slow-paced game or a fast-paced game, because it's kind of a balancing act between the two. Some of it feels really fast-paced, some of it feels slower-paced. So here's the thing that makes this really cool. There's like a bunch of different missions and stuff where you have like certain goals to meet, certain scores you have to meet, and you're doing this cargo stuff. It does expand upon it even further. I saw later in the later levels, there's certain things like. There's like nuke missions where I guess, I don't know, maybe you're picking up nukes, and it seemed kind of interesting. I'm not sure what the deal is with those. Like if you do it too hard, if they're going to blow up or something, or what's going to happen with those just yet, but I'm curious to see. But the other surprising thing that I really, really liked about this is that there's racetracks. So and right on cue. There's actually like ring courses out in space, which you saw a little bit right there. You'll see these rings that you have to go through. Like those are like the first time I tried it, just getting a hang of like the controls at first was really, really difficult at first, but you actually get used to it. You do get used to it. And it starts to feel really good. And like I was like, man, like I suck at this. Like I was like, good God, I am terrible at this. And like 30 minutes later, I was like flying through the ring courses, like executing them perfectly. So I don't know, like the controls I guess are pretty good. They just there's a little bit of learning curve. But I like this game. I like this game a lot, in fact, and I think it's a really cool, unique, creative idea. Something that's a little bit different, and I think it's a cool concept. And also, like I said, this is for like hardcore VR vets. This is not. I mean, maybe some people new to VR would. I don't know. I'm going to have to say I would not recommend this to people that are new to VR. You need to get your VR legs first. You need to get accustomed to what VR controls are generally like before you go into this game. Because otherwise, you're going to be sitting there just twirling in circles and you're going to puke all over yourself. But for those of us who are initiated, a little bit more initiated for this kind of thing. This is cool so far, man. I am enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm very, very interested in playing more. And yeah, of all the games that I have provided first impressions for today and kind of previewed, that includes Operation Serpens, Border Bots, Survivorman VR, Dead Hook, and Space Stalker VR. Well, I did in fact save the best for last because this one is my favorite of the ones that I kind of previewed for you guys today. I'm definitely a fan of this game, and I look forward to playing more. Now, graphically, don't expect the greatest graphics ever. It does have good graphical fidelity. It does look a little bit questy at times, but it also sometimes looks a little bit more, a little bit better than that. So it doesn't look bad by any means. It's got a cool art style. It's a little bit mix of like kind of cartoonish, kind of not, kind of sci-fi-ish. But it's pretty cool, man. It's fun. It's interesting. It's interesting to play so far. And it has a solid amount of content. I really, really like the racing levels. And it goes on and on. There's also like unlocks for it. There's weekly missions. Like I guess there's weekly missions that they'll do. There's different modes for like online leaderboards where you can race or do stuff against friends, compete on there. And then there's like these like randomized different challenges and stuff to do. So pretty cool stuff. A simple concept that is, you know, kind of well refined. It's a simple concept of you're in space, you're trying to latch onto these giant containers and drop them off. But again, it's a lot more complex or complicated than it sounds, and it gets pretty wild. I like how fast you can accidentally go. And thank God for space e-brakes, because that thing has saved my ass. But all right. Good shit though, man. So Space Stalker, first impressions, I like. So far, Border Bots and Space Stalkers, or Space Stalker VR, have been the better games that I've tried so far. But then, of course, I'll be going right back into Legendary Tales first because I'm not done with that one. But if you're interested in something else, these two I would keep an eye on because they've been pretty sweet so far. So now it is time to get to the sale that is on the PlayStation Store. As always, I'm going to go through, give the thumbs up, thumbs down, whether or not I recommend it. And there's a lot of games here that are on sale right now. Some big ones, in fact, too. So pay attention. But before we do that, Mark, my dude, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate your donations. You have no idea how much it helps. And all these fine people on Patreon. You can also support by getting yourself a discount on some lenses and go to vr-rock.com. Use the code AJPSVR. That both gets you a discount and gives me a little bit of support. A little bit. But I use those every single day. I think whether you use VR Rock or not, or something else, you definitely should get some lenses regardless. I don't care which one you get, but get some. Mark, thank you, says, I need Aces of Thunder. It's been my most anticipated VR2 game for so long. I need my Ace Combat fix. Yeah, man. Hopefully you picked up Ultra Wings 2. It's really good. It will hold you over until Aces of Thunder comes out. Also, Ultra Wings 2 is freaking fantastic. Cannot recommend it enough. I would start training and practicing with that while we wait for Aces of Thunder. I myself am waiting for Aces of Thunder as well. I hope it's really good. Dan Keeper says, ew, imagine the sound of Bane puking in his mask. It probably sounds something like this. I don't know. That was my best Bane voice. All right, guys. So it is time to get to the sale. All right. Let's see here. All right. So sale time. What do we got here? This is not the sale. This is, of course, the Planet of the Discounts sale, and I'm just using the PSN store, and I've got this filtered by PlayStation VR2 Games. So whether or not it decides to cut something out of that, I don't know. But let's go ahead and kick things off, and I'm going to go through and tell you which ones I think you should get the thumbs up, and which one gets the thumbs down. I also might do the golden buzzer, as I like to do. Markio says it's missing games. What up, Markio, the Sleepless Night Underground Game Cat, homie in the house tonight. He said this might be missing some games, so if there is something missing and you want to ask about it, let me know. You think food poisoning was your ally? I was born in it. Molded by it. Molded by it. I haven't done Bane in a long time. But I will do it for you, the people. Okay, so first off, we've got No Man's Sky. Ooh-wee. No Man's Sky is 50% off. Now, I thought that this was more. Let's see here. Is there a bigger discount? Oh, guys. Okay, look. Now, I love No Man's Sky to death. But here's the thing. No Man's Sky just got the Omega update. And for a limited time, No Man's Sky is free. Free to play. So you can go, if you don't own No Man's Sky yet, which you should. But if you don't, you can go play No Man's Sky for free right now and go get it. So thumbs down to the sale. That is the only time you'll ever see me thumbs down No Man's Sky because you can go play it for free and get a free trial. And it's going on through like March or something. I don't know. It's going on for a little while. Go get you some No Man's Sky for free and skip on the sale for now. That's why we do these things. We've got Resident Evil 7. That's not a PSVR2 game. We've got the Dark Pictures Switchback VR for $23.99. Now that's a pretty good price. That's only a couple dollars higher than what I would recommend Switchback at, which is $20. I think with this sale in particular, I think there's better stuff to get. But if you've been waiting for this game and are interested in it, I will give a hesitant thumbs up. I enjoyed the first half of this game a lot. It is one of the best looking PSVR2 games at this time now, after getting the update. And also the Horde mode is pretty fun. But I really, really enjoyed the first half of this game. So you only get a couple hours of enjoyment out of it. It's not as good as Rush of Blood. I'd like it to be $20, but it's $23, $24, and it's pretty solid. Not one of my top 20 games, but a decent game nonetheless. Next, we've got Project Wingman Frontline 69 for $23.99. No, this game is poo-poo. They really effed up the launch of Project Wingman. It was something I was really looking forward to. Luckily, we got Ultra Wings 2, and we're getting Aces of Thunder, which hopefully is good. Big thumbs down, 2 thumbs down to Project Wingman. They totally screwed up our port of this game. There's no HOTAS support. It's DualShock only. It's 6 low quality VR missions, and it sucks. So screw you guys. I'm going home. No to Project Wingman. Red Matter 2 is 30% off for $20.99. Guys, Red Matter 2 is worth full price. Bless you. You're welcome. That probably didn't pick up on the mic, but I just figured I'd say bless you anyways. Because it's the polite thing to do, right? Don't be rude. Guys, Red Matter 2 is one of the best PSVR2 games. It's top 5. No, for me, I don't know what I had it at. It's at least top 10. It is a amazing game. Absolutely worth full price, let alone $20.99, 2 thumbs up. You need Red Matter 2 in your life if you haven't already. I love it, even though it's a puzzle game. Which brings us to the next game. Here we go, guys. Moss Book 2 is $12.99, and Moss Book 1 is $10.99. Is there a sale on the bundle? Is there a bundle sale? Let's see if there is. Hold on, guys. We gotta see if the Moss bundle is on sale real quick, because Moss. What? I don't know. So if the Moss bundle is on sale, you should absolutely grab it. But guys, Moss Book 1 and 2 are I love these games to death. They're some of the most quality PSVR and PSVR2 games you can get. Big thumbs up for the Moss series. Absolutely incredible. Like I said, you know, Moss is the OG PSVR mascot, the very first mascot that PSVR had, and it's absolutely amazing. Cannot recommend the Moss series enough. You're seriously missing out on one of the most quality games, story-driven, quality gameplay, quality graphics, quality everything. Amazing stuff. What up, dear Schnuff? Let's see here. Oh, Markio just got Red Matter 2. Let's go. Hells yeah. Dan Kiefer, yes, Moss 1 and 2 are on PSVR 1 as well, and you have to get it. It's amazing. Whether you have PSVR 1 or PSVR 2, get Moss 1 and 2. It's amazing. Amazing. All right. GC 13 in the house tonight, blessing us with her presence, as well as Slapnuts. Now, which one is Slapnuts and which one is... Never mind. Anyways, all right, what do we got next here? So Moss Book 1 and 2, highly recommend. Next, we've got Breachers, which didn't come out too long ago, and that is for $23.99. That's a pretty good price. I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, like, I haven't played a lot of Breachers. I think it's like solid, like it's okay. It's pretty decent. It has cool gameplay. If you like, you know, tactical shooters, it does have that like co-op working together. But the player base is definitely filled with a lot of younger kids. So if you're not into that thing, you're not gonna like that. If you don't have friends to play with, it's gonna be kind of tough. As much as I like Breachers, I'm not like crazy about it. I much prefer Pavlov or Crossfire Sierra Squad. And yeah, I don't know, like the quality of the game, like I think the gameplay is there, but the quality of the graphics, the depth of the mechanics and everything of like that, I think are pretty limited. I like Breachers. Breachers is a good, solid game. So don't get me wrong here when I give it the thumbs down of doom, because I'm going to say hold off. I just think that there's better stuff to play. Go get Pavlov if you haven't. Go get Crossfire Sierra Squad if you haven't. If you're dying for another, you know, co-op multiplayer kind of shooter or whatever, maybe. But otherwise, I don't think it's like a must-have or anything by any means. It's not going to blow you away, and I think for a couple people out there, it's like, yeah, gonna be awesome, but most people don't. All right, so sorry, Breachers, I like you, I just don't love you that way. Next, we've got Hubris for $17.99. It is on sale for 40%. Guys, this gets a big thumbs up from me. I love Hubris. I think this game is fantastic. Now, it is a 5-hour action adventure, or sci-fi action adventure. The weakest parts about it is that it's kind of a generic sci-fi world and kind of generic sci-fi storytelling, but it's also got really, really good graphics. It's got a great variety of gameplay mechanics, from swimming to shooting to lots of different things, climbing, jumping, whatever. I think Hubris is awesome. I think I gave it like an 8.7 from my official review. I think it is awesome, and I highly, highly recommend Hubris, a really high quality 5-hour adventure for $17.99. Big, big thumbs up. I think of this sale, one of these that's like, you got to jump on this deal while you can. But yeah, I think Hubris is awesome, and I highly recommend it. Would buy. You know what else I think highly of and would highly recommend for $13.99? Propagation Paradise Hotel. Probably the scariest game I've played on PSVR2. Yes, it's been more scary for me than Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 4. I would say this is the scariest game. Now, this is another thing kind of like Hubris, where Propagation Paradise Hotel is only a 4-hour game, kind of at best. But let me tell you guys, that is some of the most memorable 4 hours of game. Like, it still shocks me to this day to think about that my playthrough of that game was only 4 hours long, because it sticks with you, and it feels a lot longer than 4 hours because of how freaking scary it is. I mean, if you imagine, it's 4 hours of your heart racing, of jump scares, of tension, of all that. It feels a lot longer than 4 hours. But even though this is a 4-hour kind of contained adventure, it is super high quality, really crisp, clear graphics, great resolution, great frame rate, great textures, design, artwork, all that stuff. Also very intuitive controls, very great gameplay mechanics, and all these things. I highly, highly recommend Propagation Paradise Hotel. It is awesome. Just like Hubris, it's another one of these really high quality, maybe a bit short, but really high quality. And for $17.99 for Hubris, for $13.99 for Propagation Paradise Hotel, you're getting a really good deal for a very high quality game. It may not be the longest games, but they are super high quality. Big thumbs up to Propagation Paradise Hotel. Both of these were on my personal top 20 list. My personal objective top 20. What do we got next here? Next, we've got VR Skater is $24.99, 30% off. If you have PlayStation Plus, then it is $22.74. Now, this is another game where it's like, I love VR Skater. I think it's super high quality. I want it to be at the $20 mark. I feel like $20 is like, you absolutely must have it. So I don't think so this is the thing with VR Skater. I don't think it's you must go out and buy it, impulse buy it right now. That being said, I love this game. I think it's super high quality. I think it has a ton of content, and I'm definitely giving it a thumbs up. If you have any interest at all in a VR skateboarding game, this one is very, very good. And it is, again, another game that has really high quality graphical fidelity, like, really crisp frame rate, really high resolution. It looks like almost like 4K in the headset. Not the, most advanced textures or anything, but it does have a really sharp and crisp resolution. Disclaimer, it does have a bit of a learning curve, and a pretty steep learning curve, so it is tough. I think once this game, I'd like this game to be like that, you know, get discounted to that $17.99 or at least $20 mark. That being said, I love this game to death. So if you're on the fence, I do say go get it. But I want this game to be like 20 bucks, to be like, go out and get it right now. Next, we've got Tennis on Court is $24.49, 30% off, or $22.74. This one's going to be a little bit trickier because, quite frankly, I haven't played much of this since launch, so I don't know the complete story of the full state of it. I will say, when I played at launch, I was like, this is okay. Like, it's actually not that bad. But then we started running into issues with multiplayer, especially. The multiplayer was straight up broken. But I think this was like the best way I can describe Tennis on Court is kind of like Dream Match Tennis, which was on PSVR 1, but just a little bit better. I thought it was like, okay, but here's the problem. It is $24.49 or $22. And that, the $25 mark, is where I give this a big thumbs down. Ain't no way I'm recommending this at $25. No, sir. Even though I thought it was like, okay. Next, we've got Puzzling Places, which is, of course, a 3D jigsaw puzzle game. It is $13.99 and $11.99 with PlayStation Plus. I really like that PlayStation Plus price. So this is a good game. If you need something to maybe do while you want to chill out and just relax and you know, if you're like if the thought of a photogrammetry 3D jigsaw puzzles sounds cool to you, it is exactly what's as advertised, and it is a good game. I don't play it very much because I'm not into you know, there's so many more exciting things that I'm into. I'm when it comes to VR games, I'm a little bit more of an adrenaline junkie than I am a chill out and, you know, just kind of do this thing. But Puzzling Places is solid and it's pretty good, and I'm definitely going to give this a thumbs up because that's what it deserves. Your Long Shadow says, go puzzle all the places, folks. Yeah, it's good, it's solid, I like it, and it definitely gets a thumbs up for me. Scott, the PSVR Game Cat for Life, thank you so much for the donation, says, I just bought Space Docker for £9.49. What's the cents in over there? $9.49. But I forgot I had RoboCop in the cart and I just spent $39.49 instead. Luckily, I just started a new job. Well, congrats on your new job. Hey, you can get a refund for RoboCop. If you just purchased it, don't install it. Email them or call them like right now and they will give you a refund. I know people always talk about the refunds and stuff, but just say, hey, it was in my cart. I accidentally purchased it. I haven't played it yet and I'd like a refund. They will refund you. I promise you. Is Space Docker that cheap? Hold on 1 second here. How much is Space Docker? Let's find out together here. I don't even know the price of Space Docker, but if it's, let's see here, Space Docker. Damn, Space Docker's only 15 bucks, $14.49, guys. Holy shit. So I give a huge thumbs up to Space Docker. Again, make sure you're an experienced VR vet and you have your VR legs. Space Docker for $15, great deal. Good shit. Anyways, yeah, that's way cheaper than I thought it was going to be. So sorry for not paying attention to that earlier. But anyways, we're here to focus on the sale, not Space Docker, but thanks for the heads up, Scott. So next we've got Tentacular for $16.24, 35 cents off. Now here's the thing about Tentacular. Some people might like this. I think it's actually a well-crafted game. I think it utilizes the haptics, the adaptive triggers really well. It feels good, like it's got some pretty good physics, but as a game, I'm not really crazy about it. And I have zero interest in going back and finishing it. Some people will like this game, but for me, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to give this a thumbs down. Definitely not a bad game by any means, but just not interesting to me or fun. But it is well crafted. I will give it that. Marwatts 100 says, any update on Astro Bot rescue mission for PSVR2? Yes, sir. Rumors that there could be a second Astro Bot game releasing this year, and Team Asobi has been quoted saying that they are working on their biggest game yet. Something like that, I think. So here's to hoping. And also, welcome to the stream. If you want to catch the whole 15 minutes where I talk about Astro Bot rescue mission, you can rewind the video. It's like one of the first news stories I talked about. And if not, just let me get timestamps up later, a little bit after the stream, and it'll be there where you can skip right to it. But anyways, Tentacular, pass. Unplugged air guitar is $12.49. That's 50% off. I did not like this game. Pass, thumbs down. I like Drums Rock a lot more. Drums Rock is freaking awesome. And of course, I like Synth Riders, Beat Saber, Pistol Whip for other rhythm games. But if you want like a rhythm game where you're playing an instrument, dude, Drums Rock, man. Drums Rock. That's where it's at. Next, we've got Waltz of the Wizard is $9.99. You can even save another 10%, bringing it to $7.99. $7.99. If you have PlayStation Plus, $7.99 is not bad. But I'm not like really crazy about this. This is more of an experience kind of thing. Like if you need, Waltz of the Wizard could be cool for $7.99 to show some people VR, let them mess around with some magic. It's a pretty good price. It's not too bad. But I'm like, so $7.99 for Waltz of the Wizard? Yeah, maybe. They did put some work into the VR port, the PSVR2 port. It's not bad, but I ain't like rushing out to say like you gotta have this or anything. It's very much like a small kind of experience kind of thing, but I've seen worse. It's definitely not bad. Next we've got Galaxy Kart for $13.99, and then with PlayStation Plus you get a game trial, so you can try it with PlayStation Plus. Oh, this game, man. I might get a little flack for this. Galaxy Kart for $13.99. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Okay, so if you have like a racing wheel, maybe it'd be kind of cool. I know there's a lot of game cats that love to play this in multiplayer, but I don't play multiplayer really, guys. I play single player. And when I'm talking about single player, I think this is worth picking up for that amount. Like that's not a bad price, but you really need to lower your expectations here. I'm going to give it I'm kind of on the fence about recommending this one. I know some people really like this game. Some people, Awesome Data says, Galaxy Kart, say you love it. I personally, I'd say you could probably pass on it. But it ain't bad. It ain't that bad, especially for that cheap. You might have some fun with it, but it ain't the new premier kart racer that I was hoping it would be. They have been updating it quite a bit. So I think for $13.99, it does make it a little easier to recommend. They've added come to think about it, I have played it post a lot of patches, and they continue to do it. Like, it's all right. It's all right. If you're going to get it, more power to you, but do lower your expectations and you will have a good time. It's not bad. It's pretty okay. I'm going to give it, maybe. if you like really want a kart racer, if you have a wheel, you know, that might make it a little bit better. But that's a tough one for me because like I like it, but I don't actually care to play it very much, and that's a problem. Before Your Eyes is 11/24. This is of course a story-driven game that's played like this. This is how you play Before Your Eyes. That's the gameplay. No, I think Before Your Eyes is okay. I'd like to pick it up for like $5. I'm gonna say pass. It is a nice little charming, adorable little story that it tells. No, it's not a reason to go out and buy a PSVR2 like some people said. It is far from it. That's why all these people are mad, because they bought Before Your Eyes for this. It's okay. I'd like it for more like the $5 to $7 range. But it's not bad if you want an experience. Like, it's kind of cool, a heavily story-driven experience. It ain't bad, but I thought it was okay. DJ Dirty Yellow says, my son loves Galaxy Kart. Nice. I love that people love Galaxy Kart. I wish I did as well. I like it somewhat. Anyways, so let's see here. What else we got here? I'm going to say, even though Before Your Eyes ain't bad, it's kind of cool. I'm going to say pass on it. Next, we've also got Toss, another one that some of you are probably going to be angry with me about. It's $13.99, 30% off. I'm going to say pass. Like, some people might like this. Maybe if you need a really physical grab and throw yourself around, like obstacle course kind of thing. It ain't no to the top. That's for sure. And I never really cared for this game very much. Again, not that it's bad, but I don't care for it. I would say pass on Toss. We've also got Ragnarok. More people to come and hate me. $14.99 for Ragnarok. Some people really like this game. I like the soundtrack. I think it's got some great metal on there. But I do not like the gameplay of Ragnarok. If you want to support if you want to support Wanna Dev Studio, go buy their Propagation Paradise Hotel for $13. Even if you don't have the balls to play it, go buy it just to support them, because it's freaking awesome. I'd rather you buy, I could recommend more buying, this is so dumb, buying Propagation Paradise Hotel and not playing it over actually buying and playing Ragnarok. That's so bad. I'm sorry, that's so dumb, but it makes sense in my weird brain. Anyways, so I'm gonna say pass on Ragnarok. I'm sorry, it ain't bad, but I don't think Whack-A-Mole makes a good rhythm gameplay mechanic. I like the music in it. I don't like the graphics. I don't like the gameplay. That's a problem. Next, we've got the Foglands, which is $24.49, 30% off. Now, this game did get a big update recently, and despite all that, you know, we kind of ripped this game apart when it launched, and I think it was well deserved. I mean, I don't want to. I feel bad, in fact, doing that. But this game was was showcased on the biggest of stages for PlayStation VR2 games, which is pretty much state of plays, and this was severely under par for what we expect and like. And you know, I think my biggest problem with the Foglands is that it was not as advertised. It does not have good physics. It was not quality. It had a lot of broken up, choppy like things. I understand that they've made some improvements to this game, but until I play it and find out for myself, this is going to be a hard pass. No, this game has a lot of work to do before I can recommend it. There was really the only thing I liked about it was kind of like maybe the art style, but no, I'm interested to maybe see the update, but I don't think the update's going to save it for me just yet. We've got A Fisherman's Tale for $7.49. It's like okay. It's like 3 hours long. I kind of like The Fisherman's Tale 2 more, even though it's not probably as creative or cool. I I like Fisherman's Tale, but I'm gonna say pass. It's like it's just not good enough to really go rush out and get it. Afterlife VR, I have not played this game. I do have a review key for it, but I never even played it, unfortunately. I've heard it's terrible for what it's worth. And so, yeah. We've also got After the Fall Deluxe Edition for $15.99. After the Fall is such a divisive game. Some people really, really like it. If you like grinding for guns and weapon attachments and things, well, not even guns, but I guess grinding for like attachments for guns. It's very repetitive. You know, I enjoyed this game for a couple hours. I got like a good 5-6 hours out of it that I enjoyed, and then I was done with it and ready to move on. Some people apparently got way more than that. But yeah, I think there's been sales where I've recommended After the Fall, and like, you know, it kind of comes and goes. Sometimes I recommend it, sometimes I don't. This is going to be one of those, like, I think this is going to be one of those pass this time. There's just other stuff that's much better, much more tempting right now that you need to take advantage of. We have always lived in the Castle Mary Cat. Says, did they ever get Very Bad Dreams running well, or is it still a big mess? I don't know, man. I deleted Very Bad Dreams from my hard drive, my solid state drive, because I was tired of getting updates every single day for it. Just like I did for Darkness Roller Coaster for 2 or 3 years. I didn't even bother to check. I just got so tired. It's almost comical how often that game gets a patch or an update, which is literally every single day. And I got so fed up with it that I deleted it. And I don't know, and I don't care. I have zero interest in that. I've lost interest in even giving that game a shot, unfortunately. So wish I could tell you, but After the Fall is a pass for now. Oh, a Fisherman's Tale. Oh, another Fisherman's Tale is $13.99. Okay. Now this is, I didn't recommend, you know, I said pass on the first Fisherman's Tale, but the second one, $13.99. Now, I gave this game, I think, somewhere out of a 7 out of 10. I think in hindsight, maybe I'd give it like a 6.9 out of 10. Later, Markio. I actually did kind of like another Fisherman's Tale. I might actually give this a thumbs up. Maybe. I give it a very weak, a very, very, very weak thumbs up. If you got nothing else to play, if you want just a charming puzzle game, like I actually enjoyed my time with this game. And I did enjoy it. And I think $13 is not too bad. But just keep in mind, like, you can get Propagation Paradise Hotel, you can get Hubris for $17.99. There's way better games from this sale that you can get. But if you need a puzzle game besides Puzzling Places, I might actually give this like a maybe. Yeah, maybe. I wish I could be more decisive, but if not, you know, wait a little bit longer, maybe for a deeper sale, or wait for it to go on sale again. It's not bad. It's not bad. I actually liked it, but it definitely is not like a super high quality PlayStation VR2 game. It's just like a solid puzzle adventure game. What up, Bambino Ramos? Good to see you, my homie. Next we've got Dyschronia, Chronos Alternate Bundle, blah, blah, blah. I haven't played this. I did unfortunately buy this game for Saturday Night Live stream. I bought it at full price and nobody ever recommended it. So I basically just lit $40 on fire. And that hurts, man. That hurts really bad. But here's the thing. I don't want to play it, and so I don't care. But this is why I stopped buying every single game that comes out, because that cost me a pretty penny, and I didn't even have interest in playing it. So, you know, I'm not buying every single thing like I used to, because that gets expensive really fast, and that's a waste of all of our money and time. But yeah, gonna have to pass on this because I don't know. Tiger Blade is $19.99. or $18.74 with PlayStation Plus. This is a tough one. This is a tough one because I actually really, really like Tiger Blade. I wish it was around the $10 to $15. I wish it was like $10 to $15 because I feel like it'd be like, go out, instantly buy it. Maybe if you have the extra cash, maybe. But no, I'm sorry. I like this game a lot. I love. Somebody was asking about, like, you know, they really like arcade shooters. They're asking about Operation Serpens. I would say pick up Crisis Brigade 2 or Tiger Blade above that in a heartbeat. Space Docker VR, like we just discovered, is also $15. It's like, man, yeah, like it's just, there's just, the thing about Tiger Blade is, as much as I like it, there's just better stuff right now. But that is definitely one. Tiger Blade is definitely one to keep an eye on because I think it's a pretty kick-ass game. I think it's really fun. Dan Keeper says, wait, what the hell is Tiger Blade? Go back a couple of my Saturday Night Live streams. I streamed some gameplay of it. It's kind of like Time Crisis, but you also have a sword, and it's got like Korean rap. It's actually a really solid game. I think it's awesome. I just, $20 is like a little bit, is like the maximum that I would want to pay for it. And I'm trying to get you the best deals to hop on right now. So I would say, unless you've played everything else, which you probably haven't, because I haven't even done that, and it's my job to, and I haven't been able to, I would say wait for just a little bit deeper sale on Tiger Blade. I really want to, if it was $10 to $15, hop on that shit. But it's not. It's 20, and that's a little bit more than what I would want to recommend for it. Okay, so here is a very, very interesting one, guys. Hellsweeper is on sale for $25.99. Okay, so this is the tricky part here. The patch that we've been waiting for Hellsweeper is likely right around the corner. So while I do not recommend buying Hellsweeper to play it just yet, if you are considering getting it for, wait a minute, why is this treachery update? I thought the deluxe edition, I thought the standard edition might be $20 right now, guys. I don't know why that says $29.99. Maybe it's with Plus, it's cheaper. But here's the thing, guys. I think this is the last sale before we get the significant update for Hellsweeper. So if you're willing to maybe keep an eye on the date, how long this lasts for. This offer ends February 29th. So I would maybe keep an eye on this Hellsweeper and keep an eye out for the update, because it's possible that it could get the update anytime really soon. And you want to get this game while it's on sale before the update, before it goes back to full price. I thought I saw online that it was $20 for the standard edition. That was on sale for $20. I'm not seeing it right now for some reason, so I don't know if that's a store thing or whatnot. What a discrepancy between the store and the web. I'm not sure. But guys, keep an eye on it. Hold out until wait until the 29th. If we get the update by then, get it. If by the 29th it still hasn't gotten the update, you're probably going to want to grab it before the 29th is up. Ezek says it went back up. Yeah, that's weird. But keep an eye on this Hellsweeper update, because once it gets this update, it's probably time to jump in. Finally, I've been waiting for the official release of this game for a while. I'm really excited to play it once it gets this update. But yeah, I wouldn't get it right now for playing it. I would just get it right now for getting a deal on it and being ready for the update when that drops. Drums Rock, a simple plan music pack. I didn't even know this was a thing. I don't like a simple plan. If you like them, sure, go get it. Discronia, no. Discronia, no. Discronia, no. So that's it, guys. These are the best deals. This Moss book 1 and 2 might be my golden buzzer for this. You have to have Moss. If you don't have that, you got to get Moss book 1 and 2 from this if you haven't played them already. You got to get Hubris from this if you haven't played it already. Propagation Paradise Hotel. I would recommend VR Skater, although I want that to be the $20 mark. Puzzling Places, absolutely yes. Galaxy Cart is like, yeah, maybe. Perhaps it's pretty decent. It's pretty fun. You know what? I'm gonna give a thumbs up to Galaxy Cart. But if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can get a free trial for it. So those are the big winners of this sale that I would recommend. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys, and thank you guys so much. 35% off on the Moss bundle. Definitely get the Moss bundle if you can. That's the best way to get it. If that's the cheapest option to get both of those, you have to play the Moss games. They're amazing. But guys, that is it for our Thursday show. This is probably the longest interactive chat. I think I maybe have had longer, but no, I've definitely done longer. But this is one of the longer ones. Usually I keep the hour pretty tight. I keep the show to like an hour long. But this is a little bit longer. Hey, we had a lot to make up for and a lot to talk about. Everything from Astro Bot rumors to Legendary Tales. Guys, leave a comment after the video if you want a copy of Legendary Tales. I'll see if I can either get a review key, but really what it's about is I want to support the developers and buy somebody. But you have to promise that Legendary Tales is what you're going to buy, and you have to show me proof after. So leave a comment after the stream if you would like to win a copy of Legendary Tales, where I will personally buy you a copy, because I want to support this game. Even if we don't succeed in getting enough copies of this game sold, to where they can make a Legendary Tales 2, hey man, we gave it our best shot, and that's the best we could do, and that's worth the effort to me. Thank you all to everybody else who picked up the game and supported the game and whatnot, because that game means a lot to me. It's currently my favorite game, like I said. And then, of course, we covered all the other stuff. Operation Serpens, pass. Border Bots, surprisingly not bad. Survivorman VR, avoid completely. Dead Hook, wait for a deep sale, or just avoid it. Space Docker, yeah, go ahead and pick that up. That's pretty sweet. And then everything from this sale. Guys, thank you so much to all of you who came and hung out tonight. Had a great time. I really appreciate all of you keeping the conversation going in the chat, getting to interact with all of you lovely, fine people. Thank you to these, speaking of lovely, fine people, the people down here, not my brand new merch. I need to change that. That's not new merch anymore. And that's also not profitable merch. That's just, if you want a PSVR Underground shirt that looks cool, or a hoodie, I highly recommend the t-shirt and the hoodie. It's cool. I don't make any profit on it. It's just for you if you want it. And it looks really cool, and it's good materials, and it's super cheap. So that is completely for you. If you, thank you guys, everyone who supports me on Patreon, patreon.com/PSVR Underground. Thank you to all the moderators. Thank you to everybody who donated tonight. Again, your support helps a lot. I really, really appreciate you. And if you also want to support me, you can go to vr-rock.com. Use the code AJPSVR. Get yourself a discount on some lenses. Like I said, whether you use my discount code or not, I don't care. I think you just need to, I think you need to get some lenses, period. Whether you get those. I would recommend VR Rock over Hans VR. Apparently the best ones are called Reloptics or something. However, Brian was giving me all this shit like, oh, you've got the VR Rock discount. Well, those aren't the best ones. Well, now I'm hearing that the Real Optics or whatever they're called, Real Optics, maybe that's what it was. Those apparently are having some kind of shipping backup issue. So you can suck it, Brian. You can get my discount and get a cheaper and get some nice solid lenses using my code and get a discount. So all those things, guys, and just, you know, above all else, man. A Dizzle says PSVR Underground hoodies rock. Yeah, man, I love that hoodie. That hoodie is legit, and it's like $20. Where online can you find like cool hoodies for like $20? So good shit there. I mad props to the Streamlabs team for that. But Dan Kiefer, that is my nightmare. That is my absolute nightmare. Says, imagine AJ gives out a PSN card for Legendary Tales and they buy Good Dog, Bad Dog instead. Yeah, that would be the ultimate offense. That's the only thing. See, that's the thing is I wish I could gift. PSN doesn't have the ability to gift stuff. I'd feel a lot better about that than giving out PSN cards, because I don't know how people are going to spend them. But like I said, if you were willing to give me proof that you bought Legendary Tales with it, then I will do it. But we'll see. We'll see how we're going to handle that. But guys, you have a wonderful rest of the night. Thank you so much. I will see you on Saturday for Saturday night live streams. I may see you tomorrow, actually, even earlier than that, for more Legendary Tales part 4, where we're going to have some fun with that. Been having an absolute blast streaming that. Yeah, man, all else is good in the hood. Next week, let's see here. What is next, guys? Next week is the 22nd. Next week is the 1-year anniversary of PlayStation VR2. I have taken off for work. I am expecting something to happen there early. So make sure you wake up bright and early on Thursday next week. We are expecting, I'm expecting a PS blog kind of day of announcements kind of thing going bright and early. So get ready for that. I'll see you, well, many times before then, but get ready, because next week is going to be an exciting one, guys. Let's do that. All right, as always, let's get out of here and cue the Astro Bot. Let us channel and pray to the Astro gods that we get a remake this year or a sequel or something. And thank you so much. Mark Smith is looking forward to some more Legendary Tale streams. Let's go, baby. Bambino Ramos, Scott, the PSVR Game Count for Life, Silver Nexus, Subtle Eel, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure seeing your name. Hey, Dizzle, Faux Shizzle in the Hizzle. It says PSVR Underground hoodies rock. Yes, man. Thank you so much. I already read that, actually, but I'll read it again because it's true. It's double true. Dan Kiefer, thank you so much, man. Matthew Longo, good to see you. We have always lived in the Castle Mary Cat. Thank you so much. Chrome Colossus, my dude. Let's see here. Who else we got? Jeffy, local homegrown game cat in the house tonight. Your Long Shadows, thank you so much. You have a wonderful night. Ezek, thank you. Bambino Ramos says, it's been a year. I had PSVR2 pre-ordered for launch, but life got in the way, but I'm finally fucking getting a headset next Friday. Let's go, Bambino Ramos. Let's fucking go. Man, maybe I should, dude, that's who I'm buying. Guys, the giveaway is canceled. I'm buying Bambino Ramos Legendary Tales. Yes, sir. I mean that. Bambino, I am buying you Legendary Tales. I know you've been through a lot throughout the last year, and I know, you've been a staple, a really, really helpful, awesome part of this community, as many of you have. But Bambino, please allow me to buy you a copy of Legendary Tales. Let's do this, baby. I gift unto thee. I will get you some PSN cards or something to be able to redeem that. So to celebrate your new PlayStation VR2 coming next week, let's go, baby. Let's do this shit. Y'all have a wonderful night. I'll see you again very soon. Take it easy.